Welcome back to the Moot Point Podcast, episode 2. Once again, I'm Amari.
And I'm Miles.
And basically, we just want to start off just answering a few questions. And one of the biggest ones we got was why we call it the Moot Point Podcast. So, the definition of moot point is something that's either up for debate or something that's irrelevant.
And I know those sound like two totally different things, and they are. But it's like the definitions seem to change over time. But basically, we're just covering things that are up for debate that really shouldn't be up for debate, and basically. Things that are being swept under the rug that shouldn't be swept under the rug. So
it's been a long history of like this stuff happening, and like I think it's just like the constant like struggle of feeling as if like these things should be handled. So we kind of use that to like say like, even though the definition is that it's up for debate, it really shouldn't. Like these things should be handled, and it should be things that like we shouldn't be debating about. It should be just things that are factual, things that like equality, all those things, like those things should be a given. And for the part that's irrelevant, like we want to make it relevant because it's relevant to us, like to some people whose perspective that it doesn't pertain to, they feel as if it's irrelevant or maybe like we're doing too much. But for us, it's real,
Certain outside communities might not see these as problems, or even some people in our communities, and we're going to try to, bring those people around to see, our point of view, and see that these are really issues that, need to be confronted head on.
Yeah, we just want to shake it up a little bit because that's the whole purpose. Like these things are sometimes very uncomfortable, like talking about people being hung and talking about like violence can get very like uncomfortable, but I mean something that needs to be spoken about, because if not, like no one else is gonna do it, and they're gonna keep pushing away, and the more we talk about it, the more we shed light on it, the more change seems to happen. Definitely. So I mean, and then even for the next thing, like just want to explain one more time, because last podcast like we explained it briefly, but like we're in this together. So this podcast isn't the Amari and Miles podcast. Like this is a podcast for everyone. Like when we use that term, like we speak with the people, not for the people, is because like we wholeheartedly mean that. Like we're trying to initiate change, like we're trying to help people with change, and so that's why we encourage people to comment, to keep giving us advice or keep telling us things to speak about, and like
let us know what y'all want to hear. You know, y'all guys are very important, just important as us. Like we won't know all the problems going on in the community. We're aware of a lot. We want to commit to the time of finding out more problems and more solutions. But we won't be able to cover everything. And that's the point of community as a whole. Is because you can't do everything by yourself. So y'all can pick up slack. We pick up slack. We just work off each other and deliver. So it's something that like I learned about. It's called the working alliance. So that means that like it's when you see a conflict and like you come and you meet each other like halfway to come to a solution, and that's all we're looking for really. Like we're looking for a solution, how to fix things and how to push this movement or just lifestyle, because it's really a lifestyle, like push it forward. So that's really what we're trying to do. So like we welcome all the comments, like we welcome all the criticism, like good or bad, like all of it allows us to keep growing and for us to like express like things that maybe aren't expressed enough. So that's really what we're here for. We're here for y'all, and hopefully like you guys are here for us. So like we're very appreciative of everything, and like we're going to keep pushing forward and trying our best to speak with you guys. And back to what you just said about it being a lifestyle. I mean, that's what this stuff is. Like, it's not just a movement. Like, this is stuff that we deal with every day. So like these are problems that's been going on every day, whether you acknowledge them or you've been aware of them every day. There's a lot of this stuff's been going on your whole life, before your life, before your grandparents' life. Like this, a lot of these issues have been going on for like a century or more. So
and so the purpose like is to make sure that like the things that happen in the past doesn't happen in our child's lives, because in my child, well, my future child, because I don't have a child right now, but in my future child's life and his future child's life, and like even in you guys' child or your future child's lives, like I'm pretty sure you guys don't want them to deal with the same issues that we're dealing with. The same with people in civil rights, like they dealt with Jim Crow laws and they dealt with segregation. Like we kind of move forward and like we don't deal with that, but we still deal with a different type of racism, different type of segregation. And so we want to make sure that we keep progressing so that in the next generation, generation after that, like we get closer and closer to a solution, possibly, and some unity within every community, like not just our community, but every single community.
And there's always going to be battles. Like there's never going to be like the day we hit it, like there's no more issues. Like, and there's always going to be like the things we're trying to do to better the community are always going to be met with people that don't see it like that, or people trying to tear down your ideas, or stop your hope from happening. But we gotta keep encouraging each other, keep lifting each other up, and stay committed. Again, like this is not a movement, this is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I remember I was watching ESPN the other day, and Jalen Rose was on there, and some woman had asked him, well, how long do you think you'll be seeing Black Lives Matters on the back of jerseys or up on billboards and stuff like that? And his answer was forever.
Yeah.
And I loved it, because it's like, I mean, the struggle has been forever. Like, and like, we're not gonna let this momentum that we have right now, we're not gonna let it die down. And that's the whole point of this podcast. The whole point of a lot of things going on.
Things
We're
like
gonna keep this
marching and everything,
momentum build it up, because it's like, I mean, it's at a very high point. People still protesting, and they're still doing things. And like you said, we don't want history to repeat itself. There's gonna be some problems still, but like certain things, like I feel as a whole, the community's like, enough is enough. Like, all right, we're not gonna keep dealing with the same exact thing over and over, because it's like they're not learning anything, which means they're not listening. Because if you're listening, you're gonna learn from your mistakes, or and try to change them. But they're not obviously trying to change certain things, so it feels like they're not listening. And, it'd probably be easier to swallow if like it was a different issue, like every time. I feel like, but like, say you just saw police brutality like once or twice, you'd be like, we want to have this, the anger pent up inside that we do, but we're seeing it,
it's so
like
consistent, like
in the year, like
all the time. Like every single time we get on social media, like we see something over and over again. Like it could be a police officer just like showing like too much, like being too hard on somebody, like pin them down, people are still putting knees on people's necks, like all these things are happening so often that like some people are getting kind of desensitized to it. And like our job is to make sure that like people still feel us, but people still feel what's going on, because these things are hurting a lot of people in the community. Like these families, like for example, Breonna Taylor's family, they're in a lot of pain because like there's still no justice, there's not a lot of things going on, and like she was murdered. And so we have to keep talking about these things and keep pressing these things forward, because if not, what's the justice? Like there's just no justice. Like they're gonna keep doing stuff like this, and like there's not gonna be any change.
Right. And someone that dedicated their entire lives like to the movement was John Lewis.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace for sure. He died like a week ago, but I mean, since he was like 30, 40, over that, like 50 years ago, he's been fighting the same issues, civil rights issues.
Yeah.
Like he was marching with MLK. Like he was marching in Selma to Montgomery. Like he was there, and he still was fighting these issues to this day. Like we don't want his work to go in vain. There's a couple people like him. There's a handful of people that that were like that. Like stay committed to the cause. Like I mean, and they dedicated their lives to try to better it. So we gotta pay homage to what he done. And one way I think we can do that is voting.
Yeah, voting.
Because he served in office, like I think he had like 17 terms as a representative in Georgia. House of Representative in Georgia. So I mean, we got to get out there and vote.
I mean, the idea. I mean, voting is very important, because I, for one, can say that like I was kind of ignorant towards voting for like a very long time, because I mean it's the way we taught in school. Like we're taught the electoral college chooses, and like we live in Georgia. It's a red state, so you're saying, oh well, like my vote isn't gonna matter. It's just one vote. But like if everybody keeps saying that their vote doesn't matter, then we'll never get anywhere. Because,
but that adds up, though.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because like if everybody has the same mindset, like things are gonna change if I am the change. Like be the change. And so if you're being the change, then everybody else is gonna see it and be the change, and eventually numbers gonna shift, because we have numbers. Like we have a lot of people. Like don't let people fool you and think that we don't have numbers, because we have it. Like
you have a voice, you have a platform. Like you might have like a celebrity's platform or voice, but you can make change just as they can make change.
Yeah, I mean, touch one person, they touch one person, or like you touch one person, or you can touch five, and they touch five, and it just keeps multiplying and multiplying. And eventually, like you have a whole group of people with you, like supporting the same cause, pushing the same thing. Because I mean, you see it now with the marches and everything. I mean, he'll explain to you like people are still marching to this very day. Like I'm not sure like the exact count of how long it's been going on, but it's been going on.
I know definitely know what's going on in Portland and New York still. I just seen some videos last night on it. So, and like voting, like we gotta pay homage to our ancestors for that, because like people fought and died for the right to vote. Like so you voting, like that could just be paying homage to them. Like you might not think it's doing something, but it really could, and especially in like the smaller voting, like in district voting, like in your county, your city, whatever, like voting for mayor and stuff like that, or judges. So like that can be very impactful, and you can see those changes like quicker than you can see probably changes on the federal level. Like you'll see them, like you see the changes in the community, because that's where you live.
That's where you live. Yeah, and the thing is like everything is on your fingertips. Like you can search anything online. So do your research. Like come up with your own opinions that like fit with like your agenda of like what you want out of your community and out of your life, and like what you want out of your neighbor, and like what policies you want. Like those things are very important, because just like you said, like you can't sit back and there's a lot of things that keep happening, because we sat back for a while and you see who's president now, and like you see what's going on, and so we can't sit back.
Happen again.
Yeah. So yeah, you just can't sit back anymore. Like so, I guess he's an icon, and there's many icons. Like do your research on like who he is, and like his messages. I mean, one of his quotes that really stood out to me was when he said, "When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have to speak up. You have to say something. You have to do something." And that's what voting's all about. That's what the good trouble is all about. Like you're just doing wherever you can to make the change, because you see something that's wrong, you have to speak up. You have to do something. You have to be active. You have to be. That's what activism is. You're active. You're doing something. You're trying to make change because something needs to be fixed.
And I feel this saying, good trouble is not really about the action that you're committing. Like the good part says the action that you're committing is not, I guess seen unjust.
Yeah.
But it's about like the repercussions of your actions. That's what trouble is. Well, that's how I define it. Like how you gonna get judged for what you've just done, or like what can happen. Like I mean, he was locked up several times before, just standing in the way, like literally, physically, like just standing in the way. Like when he was protesting, even like when they was protesting from Selma to Montgomery, just like the protests today, they was met with brutality in their faces. So it's like
it's like you said, like it's similar to now too. Like people were getting arrested, people were getting pepper spray, like they're throwing tear gas and stuff. What they throwing? It's throwing a bunch of stuff.
Rubber bullets.
Rubber bullets. Like people actually getting hurt. Like, and the thing is, like we're being peaceful about it. But the thing is, like, is it we stand for something, or
fall for anything?
Exactly. So so I mean, that's just what it takes to just make sure that like we make some change. It's in good trouble because it's something that's impactful to us. Like you take something that like means a lot to you and you do whatever it takes. Like as nothing really crazy, but you just do whatever it takes. Like it is good trouble.
Stand in the way. Don't be afraid of resistance. Like we're going to be met with resistance. If resistance wasn't there to stop the movement, then the movement would have been successful way long ago. But you will be met with resistance. So we got to try to outsmart them. Like you got to try to think ahead. Like playing chess, think a few steps ahead of the game.
That's why
changing things up.
Yeah, that's why it's important to see people that were icons before you, because those people like they did their research and you can learn from them, and then you also we also have the internet, so now you can learn even more. Like you could read about Frederick Douglass, like you could read about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks. You could read about John Lewis, like all these people you could read about, and as you read about it, like push forward their message, because their message it got them a little further or like a little closer to like what we're trying to do with equality. Like it got them one step closer. Like we're not there yet, but we're a lot closer than we were 50, 60 years ago, 100 years ago. So, I mean, it's just very important to know your history and, to honor the icons,
Certainly.
Pay homage. But I guess on a sadder tip, rest in peace to John Lewis again, but we're talking about Emmet Till, because today's his birthday.
He would be like 77, 78, one of those.
He passed when he was 14, and basically he was hung because he was whistling at this white girl, and
he was beat and mutilated,
Yeah, and it was her family's grocery store, and he was whistling, and I guess they assumed that he was harassing her, and so they were trying to make a statement by basically having a whole open casket, because they destroyed his face, they destroyed his body, and they killed him. So you just want to talk about the past, because these are things that are just good to know. It's good to know your history and what happened in the past. It's just and it's very painful, but you gotta honor people, you gotta pay homage.
You gotta know why you're doing this, and know that the fight you know, like the fight has to continue to go on. Like it's gonna be troubling times, but we got to continue to stay committed to, you know, what we believe in.
Yeah, these moments they open our eyes to like what's going on. Because sometimes like our eyes are very like we're shielded, like we don't really see what's going on. So in these moments, like when we talk about historical moments or even current events, like things are happening, we're like, why is this happening? It opens our eyes up to like see that there's still a problem. So it's important to know this history because like it helps us show that hey, like there's still something going on. Like there's things happening in the past, and sometimes it repeats itself and it's happening now. It's like last year we talked about people being hung. Like they're trying to make, and people are still being hung.
On the same page.
Yeah.
I think there was a new case like 3-4 days ago. A black woman was found in her roommate's room, like, and she's been in there. I think they said for like 3 days, and it's like,
yeah.
I mean, that's another case. Like, I mean, I don't think they've come to a conclusion on what it is, but I'm sure they're ruling it suicide. But
yeah,
you know, like things like that are still going on.
And then so yeah, it's good. It's good to know your history. Like even how, because this is definitely like for me, it's very heartbreaking. It's very hard to like read about this stuff and like learn more. Because the more you learn, like the more it hurts. Because it's people that they could have been your ancestors. It could have been. And now it could really be you. So it's really good just to know and like just be knowledgeable so that we can keep like be motivated to make change for like these people's lives because these lives were taken. But moving on to Breonna Taylor, like we discussed her briefly before, but there still hasn't been much that's happening. And so last time we said we'll offer a link, and I apologize we forgot to upload it, but the link that would be good that I was looking up was change.org. It's titled Justice for Breonna Taylor. I was doing some research and it was saying that it's the second highest total votes on a petition like ever on that website. And so even though it's the second highest, we still aren't seeing much change. And so I encourage that we keep doing it, but now I encourage that we find like maybe like a different avenue to maybe bring some change and show that something needs to happen because somebody has to kind of pay for what happened, pay the consequences. I'm not sure what we can do, but that's why we're here together, so we can figure out like what can be done. I mean, do you have any idea?
I mean, people people still saying her name. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have too many ideas on what we could do. Like, I mean, I don't know if you put it into the people's hands. Like, I mean, that's all I can really think of. I'm not really sure. Yeah. Because the government, and the elected officials that are put into these places to handle such cases aren't doing it themselves. And it's like, if we don't get justice from them, like who's gonna give us justice? It's just gonna be unserved, or, I mean, it's a difficult place. But I know that's how a lot of people are feeling, and like, I feel it's okay to be angry about it. Like, we let the anger settle down. Like, but it's okay to still have the anger about it. Like. Sometimes I feel like we're not being angry enough, right? Not just saying like act without thinking, but like it's okay to be angry. Like there's some things that you shouldn't be okay with, and that's definitely one of them. So,
and the thing is, like, it goes into like the good trouble. Like we're talking about that because everything is calculated. Like it may get you, like some people at the protest, like it's still peaceful and you're still getting arrested. Like everything is calculated. Like we're trying to make sure that we see a problem and we try to solve it in the most rational and the most logical way, that we can also prove our point, but we also show them that like we're not doing what you gotta do, and like we're being peaceful. Like we're not shooting at y'all, we're not killing y'all. Like we're still being peaceful, even in the time where you're killing us, because like we rise above that, and like that's what we need to do is just keep doing that, like keep pushing at issues to make change.
Yeah, I want to bring up a quote. I was talking earlier about John Lewis marched from Selma to Montgomery, and that was called Bloody Sunday. Yeah. But there was a executive board of the NAACP. They had a response to that, and they were saying if federal troops are not made available to protect the rights of Negroes, then the American people are faced with terrible alternatives. Like the citizens of Nazi-occupied France, Negroes must either submit to the hills of their oppressors, or they must organize underground to protect themselves. So
that's powerful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot said in that, but it's like, we feel like our backs against the wall and like we don't really know what to do. So we really have to work together to come to, some sort of agreement, something that we really want to do. Like, okay, we've been protesting for months. Like, So now, like, what's another action that could be taken? Like, is there something they've done in history, or is it something like we have to do that's totally new, like that corresponds more along with our time period? So, I mean, I believe it's time to have those conversations about like what we can do as citizens, because it's power in numbers. So, I mean, we have the power.
We have numbers.
And we definitely have
numbers. Can't let
numbers.
people tell you we don't, because we have numbers.
We definitely do. We have people like even outside of our community that, you know, that actually down with the movement. They're supportive, you know, like genuinely. So, you know, we can't be afraid to, you know, let them in, you know, try to find something.
Yeah, letting everyone in, because like everyone that's like for the cause, because that's really important.
For the cause, for real.
Yeah,
like,
that's really important. It's really important because the thing is, like, you don't want to do what people who oppressed you did to you. Like when someone comes to you that's not maybe like not part of the culture, and or like part of like our said community, and like they're still trying to help, like allow them in. Like treat them as family, because they're treating you as family. Like they're trying to be knowledgeable. Like people out there that are really trying to be knowledgeable on the topics, and some people aren't. But people that are, like, you have to, you know, appreciate them and like help them along the way and shield them and protect them, because some people are getting like attacked for standing up for us, and so you have to find your way to treat them as family. Yeah,
definitely.
But that quote like, it's really powerful, because like we talk about being pushed against the wall, like this whole, like these past couple months, and honestly like these past couple years, because a lot of things been happening these past couple years, but it feels as if we keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed closer to the said wall, and like we're kind of against it now, because like we're kind of at like a standstill. Like we're still marching, like we're still posting things, like we're still trying to have dialogue, and like now we're kind of at a standstill. And so like now we gotta find a way to finally like push back, like start pushing things back, like pushing them back, so that we can have some room, so that we don't feel so cornered. And the thing is, the only way we can do that is through a collective effort. And
I seen something, a new tactic, I guess. We know we're from Georgia, and Stone Mountain's like 5 minutes up the street. Well, where I live is like 5 minutes up the street. And was that like 4th of July weekend when everyone was up there? It's called NFAC, like stands for Not Effing Around Coalition, and they was dressed in all black, you know, and they all were armed, you know, within their rights to be. So they were all armed. It's probably like, I said, a good 150 people, which is like something people have never seen. And it's just to be right the street from me.
People armed?
Yeah, 150 black people armed, all black, you know, armed. And it's like, wow, that's powerful. Like, you know, I know they had to send a message, because I would never expect to see that like in my lifetime. Like, I mean, that's something we haven't seen like since the Black Panthers. Again, like this is another time like the movement, quote unquote, like it's back, but it's here to stay this time. So
yeah, it's not going anywhere until some things budge. And like that's another thing. Like it's very good to know like that you can bear arms, protect yourself, because some people, things getting really crazy.
Some people are against it, but it's kind of the time where it's like, well, they're too deep to like try to take them off the street. So it's like you got to just kind of
we're not saying
just fall in line, like, you know.
We're not saying go out in the community and start shooting people. We're
no,
saying
we're not saying that.
We're saying like we're all like me, like I'm non-violent, like I'm peaceful, like I'm saying that you have it just in case, because things happen. Also, you have it to show other people that, like, you know, you can't be pushed around.
Like you have rights too. Like our rights are often taken from us. Like with the Emmet Till situation, like I'm sure he was well within his right to be where he was at, like, or he probably wouldn't have been there, because like that was during the time of segregation. So you know, like where he's supposed to be, where you couldn't be, and so like I'm sure he was in his rights to be there, and like they took his rights away from him. So we got to, like, that's what I'm saying. There was power in that movement, the NFAC, like bearing all those arms together in a collective union. Like, you know, we're showing that, you know, we have rights too. Like, and like we were speaking to the last episode, when you get pulled over, it's like they tell us to kind of like get in the shell, like don't exercise your rights. Like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, because we don't want to get into any type of altercation. But like, so you know, express your rights. You know,
but study. Cause we talk about learning about historical facts, but study your rights too. Like, know what your rights are, because, like I said, it's on your computer, it's on your phone. Like, know your rights, so that when the time comes, like, you know what you can and cannot do. But also be very mindful of like how the world is. Like, just like Miles said, like people, like when police officers pull you over, like know your rights, but also know that sometimes police officers are gonna try to take your rights away from them. So like you have to know what to do in those situations. So it's just very important.
voting. That's another exercising right. Like, you know, we gotta do like this is our country. We paid our homage. We paid our dues. Like, you know, well over. Like the well is flown over by the things we have put into the country. So we gotta make sure they exercise, you know, our rights whenever we can, and you know, do it proudly, and then strengthen those numbers for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess the idea of all this is saying like take action. Now it's time to take action. Like we
get in some trouble, man. Good trouble though.
Learn, and take action. Because right now we're giving you historical things to show you like why we're even here. Because we have to know why we're here first before we do anything. We know why we're here, and then we know how far we came, and like what icons did, and like what they said to get us here. So now we use that, and we become our own icons. Like we become the chains. Like we become the people that like the next generation. Like they're gonna look back and be like, yeah, like Miles or Amari or Tom or like whoever, like
Tom,
like whatever, like those people use those and like they said this and did this to get them there, and now I'm gonna use that and motivate me to use something else to get us further, because that's the whole thing. Like it's momentum. Keep pushing, slowly but steadily. Like we're gonna get where or close to where we want to be. So,
wanna go ahead and talk about Drew Holiday? What he been?
Yeah. So for our shout out, we got something a little different today. We talking about Drew Holiday for him supporting Black-owned businesses, and I shout him out. There's a lot more people that are doing that, but I shout him out because that's something I seen. But I know there's a bunch of athletes, a bunch of celebrities that are out doing that. I just know he was the most recent person to do it. Supporting Black-owned businesses is very important. Like we talk about Black Wall Street, I see that like circulating a lot on social media, and I've been doing like a lot of research on it. And there was a period of time, the city was Greenwood. There was a period of time where I think the population was like around 10,000 people, and like they had businesses, Black businesses all around. Like that's how their city was moving. It was just Black-owned businesses. And there's something called the Tulsa Massacre, which you guys could look up, which kind of burnt down everything. Just to give you a brief explanation of it, this is a guy named Dick Rowland. Basically, from how I understood the story, like he was trying to get on the elevator, and I think he may have tripped, or he ended up touching a white woman, and it made like a
elevator operator.
It made like a big commotion.
Another assault claim. So.
Yeah, and then her name was Sarah Page, and like basically the whole turn into like a big old deal where like they were trying to get him, and like the city didn't want to give him up. Like people from other places, they were trying to get them. I think it was from like Tulsa.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. They were trying to come and get him, and like they wouldn't budge. So they literally burnt down the city. Like some people were killed. Like
in the city and everything.
Yeah, and so to this very day, I think we're still trying to get back that momentum. And like people start learning about it more, and people start to put more effort into it. But I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get back to that time when, like, we are in power. Like we control our own destiny financially, because financially, like we know like the world kind of runs on that, on money. So the more money we have, the more power we have as a community, and we have to have more money from within. So I just mentioned that to say like there was a period of time when like we all were moving that way, and I think that it's very important to know that, and know that we keep supporting these Black businesses. Like you see one in the corner, maybe go there, have a meal, or buy some of the merchandise. Like you see someone on Instagram, like somebody selling a t-shirt, like buy a t-shirt.
Like the little kids selling water or whatever, you know, when you get off the exit or whatever, you know, just something like that. Like
because we can get there, and like people are taking action. Like people actually like, because we're a group of innovators. Like we have a bunch of innovators. Like we have a bunch of good ideas on how to help the community. And so we want to get back to that point where it's a Black Wall Street, where like people in our community, like we don't have to go somewhere else. We can just go in our community and say, hey, like
any purpose, like anything we need.
Yeah, and like we're not depend on anything. Yeah,
hospitals, all the necessary things.
And we have it, but yeah. So that's the main point of that. Like, just do your research on Black Wall Street and the Tulsa Massacre, and like do your research on like a lot of things we're talking about, because it's very important to just know your history, know what you're talking about. So,
and we definitely can get there, but like we don't see that enough today. Like I was listening to some speaker a few days ago, and they were saying like, you know, you go to different cities, you see a little Italy or like a Chinatown or, you know, something of that sort, but you don't see like a little Africa, like where dominate everything in that particular region of the city. You know what I'm saying? But we're blessed to be
Atlanta's probably the closest thing. It's probably the closest thing. That's the Black Mecca. But I mean, we need to have more places because I mean, we have, like I said, we have interviewers everywhere. Like it's people with great. I'm literally on I'm not on social media like that, but when I'm on something like Snapchat or something, like I see people with like great ideas. Like people have great minds. So you just put that into a business idea, something that can make change, and we can do that. Like we're definitely capable. Right. So we want to talk about
one more thing. I guess for the person of the day, LeBron James.
Yeah.
He had donated like $100K to a little organization in Florida to help ex-convicts, regain their right to vote. Exercising those rights. So. Just big ups to them. I'm sure he's gonna get more funding with that. People gonna follow. I know there was been like, I match you, like you match what I do. So I know they're gonna, big ups to them for doing that. So.
Yeah. People out here making change, and like just because celebrities doesn't mean that like they could be only ones. Like we could find a way to still be involved. Like donate, $10, $15, or sign petitions. Like we said earlier, like your voice matters. Everybody's voice matters. Like it doesn't matter how big, how small you are, how old you are. Like everybody's voice matters to some magnitude. So that's it for the first podcast. I mean, for our second podcast. but yeah. So we're running a little late this week, and I apologize for that.
Yes, same here.
Yes, but we're gonna make sure that we're more on time. We're trying to figure out if we're gonna do one podcast a week or two a week, but we're definitely gonna have one at least every 7 days. So we might have two next week. We're not completely sure yet, but we'll keep you guys posted.
But we're gonna drop one surely within the next 3-4 days. Just to get us on track. So.
Yeah, it's just a lot of news. There's a lot of things. That's why I say you guys gotta keep us accountable too, because there's a lot of things going on, and we can't cover every single thing because we're talking for 3 or 4 hours. But we're gonna try our best to talk about things that
really matter.
Yeah, really matter. So we see you next time. Thank you for watching again.